In 1987, I was in school at Florida State, and I was told a couple things. One is all the kids deserved a literacy journey. They deserved to read and think on their own, at their own speed, at their own time. Everyone. I was also told that there would be kids that would struggle and kids that would be reluctant, and that they needed more interventions, and they needed more time, and they needed to come in at lunch, and they needed to be taught over and over and over and over and over again these things. So I spent an entire career chasing the literacy journey and trying to figure out how to, speed up the literacy process, what was going on, what was happening. And along the way, I was like, it's interesting. Because what I did was I started having kids read on their own. Now, people say this. There are people that do this. And yay. So I kept doing it, right? I mean, I learned, good teachers learn from other teachers. That's why I call myself the education evolutionist. What I'm telling you is because I had a whole bunch of information, and then I practiced for 37 years. 37, not 10, not 15. I practiced for 37. And in January of this year, I was like, you know what? I got to get a job doing it again. I don't know. Something called me. So I came to this high school, and I'm at this high school. And I'm using my technique, right? So freshmen through seniors. I don't know what's going to happen. I know I have a really cool technique. It's actually for free. I will give it away. But I'm like, what am I doing? So I did realize that beliefs were holding our kids back. But what the elusive thing is that I couldn't figure out, I couldn't exactly get a kid to articulate that, because it's a very complicated thing. You're asking a kid to know what their beliefs are and then recognize those beliefs, and then when they change them, articulate that. It's complicated. And I did a lot of stuff with middle school, and I couldn't figure that out. I did stuff with adults. Still couldn't get them to say what it was, right? So January 21st, I started. And then a few weeks later, I got books. And then there was this kid who's a senior, and I'm like, hey, you probably were harmed. You probably have an avoidance to literacy. Not that you can't do it, but that it's never been presented to you in a way that's accessible to you. So check out my little idea, So then I said, try this. And so I gave her Poet X, which I've talked about a couple videos ago. And then she read Moth. She just finished Moth. And then I gave her November Blues by Sharon Draper. And then we walked down the hallway yesterday, and she asked me if I would be her spokesperson for her at graduation. And I'm like, oh my God. Talk about making a teacher cry. Like, it's the greatest honor, right? It's a really small senior class, so, having a kid ask me. Okay. So I had a reason to call her over, because I want to hey, do you happen to know what happened and when it happened? And she's like, actually, yeah. And I'm like, wait, go ahead. She said that she believed she couldn't. She had evidence to prove she was dumb. The teacher would talk about something, they'd move on with something, and she still didn't understand, and he would make fun of her, whoever it was, at any time in her life, right? And so she had plenty of evidence to prove that. So she believed that. So then I said what I said, and she heard what I said, and she's like, what if she's right? What if, I don't know, what if? She just said, what if? So she was curious. So she took Poet X, and she started reading Poet X. And then she said she was at home, and she was reading, and then it clicked. It all made sense. She realized all of it made sense. She understood what the author was saying. She understood what was going on. She understood the plot. She understood everything. And she understood poetry, which she thought was too hard for her. She was so excited, she sat her parents down and told them. And that's how I got invited to be her speaker. But this is the point. If a kid believes they cannot read, then they can't. If you believe the kid can't read, they can't. If you believe the kid can read, and you give the kid an opportunity to prove to themselves they can, on their level, at their speed, what they need to understand the words. I have it all written down. It's all in these videos. It's all for free. If you do that, then you change an entire child's life because they believe they can't. And then when they break that one belief that proves that they can, there's one huge belief, which is called literacy, and they're like, wait, I can? Then they have the chance to break every other belief. They start to question where those other beliefs came from, what those other beliefs are, and why are they carrying them around? And then they can change. So what you call, the world calls literacy, I call life-changing literacy justice. It's literacy justice because it's what they deserve. It's what the kids deserve. They deserve their own literacy journey. They deserve their own reading journey. They deserve all of the things that will happen to their mind when they think, and it grows, and it's electric, and they're excited, and they miss the book, and they want to see more, and they understand the whole giant picture of a book. They all deserve that. That's why this is literacy justice. Introspective literacy does that. Do other things do that? Yes, they do. But the only thing that matters is what the kid believes at the end of the day, period. So if you reinforce they can't, then they can't. If you reinforce that they can, then they can. And when they can and they see they can, and you ask them questions, they're like, I understand. Not what shirt was he wearing? No. Hey, tell me about what's going on. What are you thinking about? What's going on? And they're like, oh my God, this is what happened. That's it. It's their voice, voicing what they have been reading. That's literacy justice. That's what they deserve, all of them. I don't even know how to say this like a million times. All of them.